Welcome back to TPS. There's no denying it, the NFL is simply more fun when there's more offense and more scoring. The NFL has become more offensively driven throughout the past 15 or so years. Teams aren't using stud running backs to carry the offense anymore. Every team is trying to find a quarterback that can throw around 300 yards or 3 or more touchdowns per game. And the transition to a pass-happy league has led to some of the most incredible and dominant single seasons by a quarterback ever, with a large portion of them taking place throughout the past decade alone. So which ones stand out the most? I'm Justin's Fraction. Today we present the best NFL quarterback seasons of the past decade. At TPS, we post videos every single day, so don't forget to click the subscribe button to subscribe. Then click the notification bell to be notified when we post a new video. And a huge shout out to Cormel for suggesting this video list. We hope you enjoyed it. If you do, feel free to leave your ideas down below. You never know, we might use one and give you a shout out. First, a few honorable mentions, because 10 just isn't enough. Drew Brees 2016. Brees completed 70% of his passes for 5,208 yards and 37 touchdowns and 4 game-winning drives. But because the Saints missed the playoffs, it's easy for folks to overlook his incredible MVP caliber year. And for what it's worth, we could have put almost any of Brees' seasons from 2009 to 18 that didn't make the top 10 in the honorable mentions. That man is incredibly consistent. Tom Brady 2010, 36 touchdowns and just 4 interceptions of 498 pass attempts. Amazing! Brady cruised to the second MVP award of his career after leading the Patriots to a 14-2 record. Peyton Manning 2014. He obviously didn't match his historic 2013 season, but the Sheriff had 4,727 yards and 39 touchdowns. The passing yards were the second most of his career. Matthew Stafford 2011. Stafford threw for 5,038 yards and 41 touchdowns against 16 interceptions. He had 4 game-winning drives and led the Detroit Lions to their first playoff appearance in 12 years. Now to the real list. Number 10, Drew Brees 2012. The New Orleans Saints signal caller has quietly been the NFL's most consistent and best statistical quarterback in the 2010s. If the man had a defense and more luck in the playoffs, he'd have multiple Super Bowl championships by now. At any rate, Brees endured one of the greatest seasons for a QB in 2012. You'll recall that this was the same year in which head coach Sean Payton was suspended for the entire year. Other coaches, GM Mickey Loomis, and multiple players were also suspended for long portions of the season. So yeah, it was a disappointing year in New Orleans, but it didn't stop Brees from building off a career 2011 season. Here in 2012, he threw for 5,177 yards and 43 touchdowns. Brees completed 63% of his passes and averaged 323.6 yards per game. It was a down year in New Orleans, and you can't help but wonder where they could have gone if the team was at full strength. But we can't forget nor discount the remarkable numbers that Brees put up. Number 9, Ben Roethlisberger 2018. The 2018 season will go down as one of the most disastrous in Pittsburgh Steelers history. I mean, Pro Bowl running back Le'Veon Bell sat out the entire year because of a contract dispute. Antonio Brown caused a lot of drama and sat out Week 17. The Steelers stood at 7-2-1, but lost 4 of their next 6 games, all in brutal fashion at the very end, to miss out on the postseason. But despite the bitter end to the season, quarterback Ben Roethlisberger quietly endured the best statistical season of his career. Big Ben set career best in touchdowns with 34 and passing yards with 5,129. He tossed 320.6 passing yards per game and had a trio of game-winning drives. Those 5,129 passing yards became the 7th highest ever in a single season in the NFL. It marked the first time where 2 Super Bowl champions hit the 5,000-yard mark. Number 8, Cam Newton 2015. When you compare Cam's season to the other entries on this list, you might not be as blown away. But don't look strictly at the 3,837 passing yards and 35 touchdowns. Don't forget that Newton was playing in a rush-heavy Carolina offense with an elite defense as well, so he didn't have to throw 300 yards and 3 TDs a game. Shall we mention that he also picked up 636 rushing yards and 10 rushing touchdowns? Newton also registered 4 game-winning drives and won the MVP award after leading his team to an incredible 15-1 season. Newton led Carolina to a Super Bowl 50 appearance where they fell to the Denver Broncos by a final score of 24-10. But still, Newton completely took over the NFL and played at a level unseen before for a dual-threat quarterback. Number 7, Aaron Rodgers 2014. After the Green Bay Packers limped to a 1-2 start, Rodgers infamously told fans to relax. Let's just say that he backed up that 5-letter word quite well. Rodgers and the Packers got red hot over the next 13 games and couldn't be stopped. For the most part, He absolutely dominated defenses, completing 65.6% of his passes for 4,381 yards and 38 touchdowns against just 5 interceptions. Simply astonishing stuff. Rodgers also finished with a 112.2 passer rating, and after leading the Packers to a 12-4 record, he was rewarded with the second MVP award of his career. Unfortunately, Green Bay unraveled in the waning minutes of the NFC Championship game against the Seattle Seahawks, and they lost in overtime. Other than that, Rodgers' 2014 MVP season was near perfection. Beautiful stuff. Precision, accuracy, everything. The man was on another level that year. Number 6, Tom Brady, 2011. After 2007, you can make a case that Tom Brady's best regular season performance was in 2011. Yes, even better than his 2010 and 2017 MVP campaigns. TB12, unfortunately, was overshadowed by 2 other future Hall of Famer quarterbacks who happened to have career years in 2011. But we here at TPS will not overlook Brady's incredible stat line that season, mainly his 5,235 passing yards, the 3rd most in NFL history through the 2018 season. Brady also threw 39 touchdown passes, the 2nd most of his career behind the 50 he tossed in 2007. He had a superb 65.6 completion percentage as well, and the Patriots reached Super Bowl 46, where they narrowly fell to the New York Giants again. Number 5, Matt Ryan, 2016. The Atlanta Falcons were coming off their 3rd straight non-winning and non-playoff season, and Matt Ryan was facing the most pressure-packed season of his career. But Matty Ice simply delivered big time. Ryan pieced together at least the greatest season of his career, tossing 4,944 passing yards and 38 touchdowns against just 7 interceptions. He completed 69.9% of his passes and had an excellent quarterback rating of 117.1, the 5th highest in NFL history up to that point. Ryan won the MVP award and led the Falcons to Super Bowl 51, where they somehow blew a 25-point lead before losing to the Patriots in overtime. It was a sour ending to a historically dominant season for Ryan, but you have to stay focused on the positives. And there were obviously plenty of positives about his 2016 MVP season, one of the absolute greatest performances of this decade. Number 4, Drew Brees, 2011. Not to be outdone by Tom Brady's epic 2011 season, New Orleans Saints legend Drew Brees turned in the greatest year of his Hall of Fame career. Though he was overshadowed by another guy who appears on our list a little later on, Brees broke the single-season passing yards record with 5,476 yards. That record only stood for 2 years, of course, but it was impressive that he broke Dan Marino's record. The latter threw for 5,084 yards in 1984, and for the longest time it looked impossible to break. Until Brees finally did it. Brees also threw for a career-high 46 touchdowns and averaged a whopping 342.2 yards per game. Those 46 TD passes are the 6th most ever for a quarterback in a single year. And his 71.2 completion percentage in 2011 is the 4th highest ever. Brees happens to own the 2 highest completion percentages in a single season ever. In 2018, he broke his own record, which was set in 2017. Was that complicated? In short, Brees just breaks his own completion percentage record like every year. He did so in 2011, and it lasted until Sam Bradford topped it in 2016. Then Brees took the record back in 2017 and broke it again in 2018. But yeah, let's crown 2011 as his best season ever. If it weren't for our number 2 entry, Brees would have won MVP that year. Number 3, Patrick Mahomes, 2018. Well, the Kansas City Chiefs made the right call in trading away Pro Bowl quarterback Alex Smith in 2018. Patrick Mahomes only needed 1 year of being a backup before he unleashed his unhumanness, or whatever you want to call it, in 2018. We all knew the Chiefs had high expectations for Mahomes, but to become the NFL's most dominant player in your first full season? When does that ever happen? Mahomes played quarterback in a way that we never saw. Even Joe Montana, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning couldn't do something like this. Mahomes displayed perfect vision, football IQ, athleticism, accuracy, and whatever other qualities you look for in a quarterback. This man scrambled all over the field and made the most amazing plays in the history of amazing plays. Remember his throwing across the body pass against the Baltimore Ravens? Like how? Mahomes led the Chiefs to a 12-win season in the AFC Championship game. He put up 31 second-half points against Bill Belichick and the Patriots. Too bad KC's defense let Mahomes down and thus prevented him from taking them to a Super Bowl. Nonetheless, the young quarterback tossed 50 touchdowns, tied for the 2nd most ever in a single season with Tom Brady, who did it in 2007. Mahomes also had 5,097 passing yards, and he ran away with the MVP award in his first full season as a starter. The best part for KC fans? This is only the start, and the best for Mahomes is still to come. Think about it. Number 2, Aaron Rodgers, 2011. Rodgers and the Packers were coming off a Super Bowl 45 championship where they held off the Pittsburgh Steelers in a high-scoring affair. Super Bowl hangover? What? Many believe that the Packers were in prime position to repeat as champions. And for a while, it certainly looked like the Packers were destined to repeat. I mean, they went 15-1 in the regular season and didn't lose their first game until Week 15. And even though the Packers had, historically speaking, one of the worst defenses of all time, it didn't stop Rodgers from dropping the hammer on his opponents. Rodgers completed 68.3% of his passes for 4,643 yards and a whopping 45 touchdowns against just 6 interceptions. That's right, 45 TDs and just 6 picks on 502 passing attempts, for crying out loud. And here's the catch. Rodgers sat out the team's Week 17 game against the Detroit Lions, so he could have enhanced those stats even further. Unfortunately, the magical season ended with an embarrassing 37-20 divisional round loss at home to the eventual Super Bowl champion New York Giants. But hey, Rodgers ran away with the MVP award, picking up 48 votes, while Drew Brees landed 2. And by the way, Rodgers' 122.5 passer rating set in 2011 remains an NFL record. Good luck breaking that. Current and future NFL quarterbacks. Number 1, Peyton Manning, 2013. Not only was this the best single season for a quarterback ever over the past decade, it's the best single season for a quarterback in NFL history, plain and simple. All Manning did, 2 years after a neck injury forced him to sit out the entire 2011 season, was set the record for most passing yards and touchdowns in a single year. He threw for 5,477 yards and 55 touchdowns against just 10 picks. On top of that, Manning completed 68.3% of his passes. And the Broncos scored 606 points in the regular season, the most in NFL history. That surpassed the record set by the 2007 New England Patriots, who scored 589 points. Manning led the Broncos to a 13-3 record and ran away with the MVP award. The Broncos reached Super Bowl 48, but they were absolutely pummeled by the Seattle Seahawks. If that's any consolation, Denver went on to win the Super Bowl 2 years later. Manning easily broke Tom Brady's record of 50 touchdown passes set in 2007 and Drew Brees' 5,476 passing yards record that was just set 2 years earlier. The Broncos didn't end up winning the Super Bowl here, but Manning put himself in the record book and only had to wait 2 more years to finally win that second ring. It's highly unlikely that anybody will come close to topping his season here, although Patrick Mahomes may have something to say about that. Simply a remarkable all-around performance from Peyton Manning. Which do you think is the greatest single-season performance by a quarterback for the past decade? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.